Hello, people. Welcome back to another video by your good friend Chad Marco, the big Anarchy. Make sure you guys check out my other social media, attack that like button, and let's have a conversation, man. So, as you can see by the title of this video, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are not the answer. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Chad, you just said you're going to vote for Trump. What happened to MAGA? What happened to niggas for Trump? Now, don't get me wrong. I still plan on voting for Donald Trump. But my vote for Donald Trump is not in the typical MAGA Republican dick riding sense. It's simple comparison, right? America seemed to be in a better state under Trump than Biden, therefore, right? And I can't imagine that Kamala is going to be very much different from Biden, right? And so that's what my vote is based on. But, you know, I've been having certain thoughts about not just Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, but just politics in general. And really quite frankly, the futility of voting. You know, I'm at the point now where I'm really realizing that voting is fucking pointless. It really is. First point I'm gonna make, right, on Donald Trump. Let's say Donald Trump is everything that his supporters believe him to be, right? He's this America first savior. He's gonna make everything better, make America great again, right? And, you know, having survived his presidency, if you ignore the 24/7 media onslaught against his character and every little thing that he did, you know, America did not seem to be in such a bad state. You know, there are a lot of people who say that, you know, the economy was doing very well under his governance and things like that. So you can give that credit to him. But this is what people need to realize, right? So look at how quickly all of his supposed good deeds and accomplishments were undone by the Biden administration. There just seemed to be like this hyper acceleration of bad things happening. And I don't need to go into detail about that. Like, you guys know, I did the video. I think it was why I'm voting for Donald Trump. Also, I talked about some things in the why the Neats were right video. But basically, it seemed like once Biden became president, so many things got worse so quickly. And you see that, and you have to realize at that point that it doesn't matter if we get Goku himself, Superman, Jesus. It does not matter when you have a system where somebody is in for 4 years and then they can be replaced by someone who just is whatever, evil, incompetent, too old, too this, too that, and can just undo all of that seemingly overnight. Then, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but it's not wise to invest so much energy and belief into such a system, right? Whereas all this good can be turned around so easily and so quickly. You know, I'm beginning to see that the very system, our political system, is really quite flawed in that way. Not saying that we should have like dictators for life or anything like that, but rather that the power structure is really the issue. Now, that's on Trump's end. With Kamala, what I'm seeing, and I'm not really surprised, but we have this goofy shit where people vote according to gimmicks, right? And when I say gimmicks, it's like this goes back to Barack Obama. And I'll be the first to admit that when Barack Obama became president, I was excited about the idea of having a black president. But then when you look at his track record, when you look at the things that he did he like, because let's be real, like the expectation was that he was going to uplift the black people, that this was going to be our moment, our time. But really, as a whole, things didn't really change for us. And that's what he ran his campaign on. Change this, change that, change whatever. And he changed nothing of significance, right? And a lot of people look at his presidency in a negative light now, because you can attribute a lot of things he did to like different wars in the Middle East and whatnot. You know, I got to do more research on things like that, but that's something I've always heard. You know, I remember back when Lupe Fiasco said Barack Obama is a terrorist, and back then I didn't understand what he was saying, but now it was like, oh, right, okay. But the point is, it seems like ever since Barack Obama, we've seen this more and more throughout the world, right? Where people seem to be voting according to the race of a person, the gender, the sexuality. Oh, we got the first black this, or the first female that, the first gay this, the first, Muslim, the first Indian prime minister, whatever. And it's like, I've noticed how effective that this is to kind of trick the people into thinking that we're moving forward when we're actually not. And I don't want to act like I'm so woke, right? Because I fell for the Obama shit too, even though I was a teenager during that point. But I'm saying I understand it. But when I see people jumping on the Kamala Harris bandwagon, it's always the same shit, right? She's black. She's a woman. She's not Trump, right? Even more telling is that people aren't really supporting her based on anything that she's done. Like, let's ignore the controversy regarding her and supposedly incarcerating black men and whatnot. You know, I've heard mixed stories about that, so I'm not gonna go in on that. But the fact that people aren't able to say, well, this is what I know she's gonna do for us as women. This is what I know she's gonna do for us as black people, as people in general. And as I look at the political landscape throughout the world, not just in America, but you see so many similarities. And what I've begun to realize is how we have become trapped in a game that we cannot win. Because we get caught up thinking that the Republicans are going to save us, or the Democrats are going to save us. Donald Trump is going to save us, or Biden, or Kamala Harris. But you notice we have been doing this for years. We've been playing this game for years. Yet as time marches on, what I'm beginning to see is that nothing really changes for the better. We get nothing but symbolic victories that mean nothing in the end, when the things that actually matter are taken away from us. I see more and more policies and laws, right? Like just for instance, I think it was in Denmark, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a country where they're going to start taxing the farmers $100 per cow based on some global warming bullshit or climate change bullshit like that. And I've always talked about that, how climate change is potentially just going to be an avenue for the powers that be to create policies and laws that fuck the average person based on something that we don't even understand. Again, how do you quantify fucking climate change? How do you quantify global warming and all that to say how much you should tax or what should be taxed to mitigate these changes? It's a dangerous thing that can be used against the people, right? We're doing it for climate change, right? Just as an example, I saw, I'm not sure if it's passed yet, but I saw rumblings about this law regarding like AI generated like porn of women, and trying to say like guys who create or upload AI generated porn of real people can be charged or fined or right? Shit like that. And it just seems like in Canada, right? The hate speech laws in Canada. And then you're seeing like laws being introduced in America, like these anti-Semitism laws, or you can't talk bad about the Jewish community. Different shit, right? That just little by little, our freedoms, our rights, constitutional rights are being whittled away at bit by bit, little by little, right? The things that really matter, we lose, right? Think about how we were controlled and limited to, during the whole COVID-19 thing. You can't go outside. You got to get vaccinated. You got to wear the mask. You got to do, right? And so what I'm saying is that as everything sort of slowly gets worse, what do we get in return? We get pride flags on the fucking street. You get a female president in Italy, a female president in Mexico, right? And potentially a female black president in America. It's like we're being served like these gimmicky ass politicians as sort of like an expression of progress, of freedom, of change, when in reality, nothing is really changing for the better. And then you have somebody like Donald Trump, right? Who on the surface seems to be different. Like, oh man, he's so anti-establishment. He's he's a radical. They tried to assassinate him and all that. And look, I found myself falling for it as well, right? Because when you see such a concentrated effort to go against a politician like that, and then you know, at least based on track record, that he did a better job than the guy we have now, it does give you the sense like, oh, like he is something different, right? And then, you know, I was watching one of my like favorite conspiracy guys, David Icke, and he was talking about this same thing, how people get caught up in choosing sides in a game that's designed for us not to win. And he was illustrating how, just for instance, what ends up happening is that we latch on to people who seem to be different based on one or two things. And then we ignore the similarities that they have with the people we don't trust and the people we don't believe in, right? Because we want to believe in them based on those other things. But when you got to judge someone based all across the board, right? And he was pointing out how Donald Trump, just like many other American politicians, even though he claims to be America first, is actually just another politician that's in the back pocket of Israel. And he was showing like how at the RNC convention, how they had this guy come up and he was just gushing over Israel and how pro-Israel Trump is and all that. And then you start seeing how Trump was talking about the war between Israel and Gaza and how he's just like unashamedly on Israel's side, and whatever they do as far as like how they conduct the war is their business. Do what you got to do, right? And he was basically like connecting the dots, how that could be like an element that leads to full-blown war between Israel and Iran, therefore America and Iran, and that could lead to World War III or a larger scale. You know, just connecting the dots, how shit is. And it was so, I'm not going to say enlightening, right? But I think it was so important for me to see that, because I was getting caught up in that. I was getting caught up in limiting my focus based on the presented choices in front of me. And as I sit here now, you know, I realize that what we have, like, listen to me, because I was just on Twitter and you see it on both sides. You see people supporting Donald Trump, you see people supporting Kamala Harris, and then like we're just going at it like good, right? Like just and we're playing right into the hands of the real puppet masters, the people who really control events and politicians and things that are actually going on throughout the world, and not just in America, but countries around the world globally. You know, one of the clips that David Icke showed was when Benjamin Netanyahu came to America, and then you see all our politicians there like just clapping and like, bruh, you would have thought it was a Taylor Swift ex Michael Jackson collaboration concert, the way they were clapping.
I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. Thank you.
And kissing this man's ass. This is a man from another country, a country that is currently in the process of committing a genocide against another smaller, much weaker country, most likely due to a false flag that they accepting, but we're not going to go there. Right? And when you understand these details, and then you see your politicians playing it like the way they were just, oh my God, it was embarrassing, right? And they were talking about it. Like when you look at it, like, wait, who the hell is this guy to have our politicians, our leaders lined up, smiling and giggling like little ass kids like that, clapping like they had a rap concert. But what we have that I've come to realize, we are being presented with options that at the end of the day, no matter who wins, we will lose. This is what I believe. This is what I believe to be the truth. What we have is a situation where we are given a bowl of vomit in Donald Trump and a bowl of diarrhea in Kamala Harris or whoever the Democrat. And then we fight over it. We fight over what's better, the bowl of vomit or the bowl like that's literally what we do. We fight over bowls of human waste, and then we celebrate when we get our vomit. We celebrate when we get our diarrhea. But seldomly can we ever really point to what that politician does for us or does to make the country better. Because at the end of the day, they do whatever the fuck they want to do. If they want to send money to Israel, that's what they're going to do. If they want to send money to Ukraine, that's what they want to do. If their minglings and tampering in other countries leads to a war, that's what they're going to do. If they want to raise the taxes, that's what they're going to do. Hate speech bill, that's what they're going to do. We're going to lock you up for this or that. That's what they do, whatever the fuck they want to do. And the point I'm trying to make is that we have to stop thinking in terms of this politician or that politician is going to be our savior. Like you have to be able to see like everything that's happening, or as much as you can, from like the top going all the way down to the bottom. Otherwise, you're going to believe, oh, Trump is going to be the difference, or Kamala, even worse, right? Kamala is going to be. I'm sorry, I'm playing into the bullshit by doing that, but still. and look, I'm not sitting here like I got all the answers, right? I'm just some neat in his mom's laundry room, eating graham crackers, probably about to masturbate, right? But it's too clear to me now. It's too, and anyone who says otherwise, tell me, regardless of whatever political battle we've seen in recent years, right? Going back from Bush versus Gore to Obama versus his rivals to Trump, and regardless of what side you were on, when did we elect somebody where it was like, yeah, I'm seeing all these fucking positive changes? Right, like, yeah, like we're heading in a totally different direction, into more freedom, more prosperity, more safety, greater happiness. It never happens. At the end of the day, they always do what the hell they want to do, and the power structure is designed like that. It's designed to have us placated because you feel like my vote matters. It matters, but when you think about it. And this is why it doesn't work. Who you're voting for, who they selected for you. And that is the problem. It's the illusion of choice. I don't know if you guys ever played this game, but there's a game called Deus Ex Invisible War. It's the sequel to Deus Ex, the first game. People love the first game, but hated the second. I like the second one. But the point is, in Deus Ex Invisible War, from the beginning of the game onward, there are like two sides, right? And I forgot the exact names of them, but the two major sides are like this military group and versus just like religious cult order or something. And throughout the game, you have the option of who you side with at different junctures or different parts of the story. You can side with one over the other. You can play both sides, whatever. In the end, you find out both sides are actually controlled by one entity, right? Which is like this Illuminati group or something like that. And I know it's just a video game, but I truly feel like that's what we are faced with now, where the politicians that we have that even get to the point where we can vote for them, they only get to that point if they are allowed to by the people who really run the country, by the people who really have the power. You know, and just going back to David Icke real quick, because he talked about something that I really wasn't aware of. He was talking about this this black politician who she was trying to get elected, I think, to be a senator or House of Representatives, one or the other. And how she found out quickly that in order to get like fundraising support, she had to sign a pledge to like be to support Israel or something like that. She's like, wait a minute, I'm not doing that, right? And essentially, she was never able to really get a strong footing in as far as like in politics, because she was never able to get support of the financial support that her political rivals were getting. Her rivals who would support, right, the greater agenda, the greater shadow government, whatever you want to call it. She was not able to compete because she did not go along with the program.
There is tremendous pressure inside the political process to make sure that the voters stay aligned inside either the Democrat or Republican parties. Why? Because both of those parties have been captured by special interests. And those special interests are, quite frankly, the antithesis of the interests of the people. And so therefore, for example, if people in the United States care about education, but unfortunately there's a banker that gets in between the student and the student's ability to go to school, if they care about health care, there's the insurance industry that gets in between the patient and the doctor who is seeking to provide care. And so we have all of these special interests that have positioned themselves in between the political decision makers and the people themselves. The process now is more responsive to those special interests than it is to the values and the wishes of the American people. When I first went to Congress, I did not go to Congress to pay particular attention to any area outside of the black community that I represented that was in need, and of course U.S. Africa policy, which was abhorrent and unfortunately still is. But what I ran into, I bumped into at almost every turn were these special interests. And there's no more special interest that has any more influence than the pro-Israel lobby. And so then when I did outreach, for example, to the Muslim community in the United States, I bumped into the pro-Israel lobby, which of course does not want to have to contend with a politicized Muslim community, which is as large as and is as wealthy as the pro-Israel lobby is in the United States.
And so everybody that we see, once you see somebody that you can vote for, they've already gone through the process of being like, you're good, okay, because they're not going to allow somebody into a position of power that can actually go against their agenda. And so you think that you have choice, you think you have power because you have a vote, when in reality, you only vote for who they give you. And it's like, we never think about that. We never think, wait, why do we only have a choice between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris? And it's like, yeah, like, of course there are other people running, but like at any given time, it's always like 2 or 3 big fish and then like a handful of guys who you know are not going to win, right? It's always the same shit. And at some point you gotta think like, wait a minute, why do I have to pick between you? And it's more obvious than ever now, I think, because you have people who are voting for Kamala Harris, never mind because she's a black woman, but because she's just not the other guy. That's how, like, that's how deep in the shit we are, right? We're voting not because we like somebody. We're voting because of who we don't like. But again, I'm not a guy with the answers. Because having said all that, what do we do? Having said that, what do we do? You know, and I think that for my part, the best thing I can just do is try to stay informed as far as like what's really happening, right? What's going on. Other than just trying to stay comfy and enjoy my own life, which is a lot easier. But really, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. When I see how diehard people get dick riding their favorite politician or their favorite political party, I don't know. Because I feel like the separation and the division is already so heavy. It's already so strong. Can we begin to help each other see what's really going on and then unite in the most important way, which is unite as people, unite as the common man, and stop falling for the tricks of these politicians who never deliver upon the promise that they make to us? Where again, every year we lose another right. We lose more freedom. There's more bullshit. They get more power over us. Another reason, another justification to lock you up. Another tax. More, you have to spend more money on rent, more money on gas. And why, right? All these things going on that we don't like, but we just kind of accept it. It is what it is. But why, right? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. You know, I guess that's what I got to start thinking about next. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know. But yeah, I had that shit on my mind, and I just wanted to kind of get off my chest. Again, I'm still gonna vote for Trump because either way, like regardless, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm not voting for Trump with the idea like Trump is gonna save us. That's what I'm not doing. It's just, look, it was better then than it is now. I might as well just throw it in there, right? I'm throwing it in there because it's easy, right? It's something to do. I'm not doing it under the pretense of like we're gonna act like he's gonna be, you know, fucking Homelander or some shit or some shit like that. But yeah, I just, quite frankly, I've come to the realization that it's not about Trump or Kamala or Biden. It's about the political structure and how it's set up for us to not really have any real power. And that's the truth of it. The structure of it is set up in such a way where we're not really in control. Our vote doesn't really matter, because whoever, once you're in position to be voted for, you've already been selected by the people who are really in charge, by the people who are really in power. So therefore, they can never lose. You can never lose when the bulls in the ring are always on your side, when they're always in on the fix. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you on the next. So, Johnny.